Thanks for this. First of all, an absolute privilege and lovely to see so many faces here. The invite kind of said, tell them a bit about how you got into counselling and tell them what you're doing now. So I'm going to do that. The simple starting answer is, I got into counselling because of this stupid face. That's it. Now, I don't know if you kind of get what I mean, but what I started to pick up on from quite a young age was, even in school, was I had this sort of stupid face that meant that people would walk up to me and tell me things about themselves, things they didn't tell other people, and I couldn't figure out why. Was I wearing a strange T-shirt? Tell me your stuff. It was just the stupid face. And I kind of ran away from it a bit, freaked me out at times, like, leave me alone, you know? Everywhere I'd go, there'd be someone sort of, can I tell you about this? Leave me alone. That and transience, having grown up in a sort of transient family that moved around a lot, I also ran off once I finished my education and I joined the armed forces. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, really. And the armed forces is full of runaway people. That's what we're all doing, is we're running away and trying to find something. And it was in there that, again, this stupid face appeared. And my very first report as a junior lance corporal said, he's kind of got this ability to fit into the team really quickly. People kind of like him. That's quite a useful commodity in the armed forces, to be liked. Can get you promoted, gets you more money and a better pension. So that's quite useful. There was something else, and it said he could speak to people at different levels in the chain of command, even those that have got quite a high rank. And I couldn't figure that out. In fact, to be honest, it didn't really bother me at the time. It just seemed useful. Move on 10 years later, and I developed a career in the military police and become quite a seasoned investigator, investigating quite serious level crime now. And I realized there was something missing when I was dealing with those victims of quite serious crime. It was a kind of coldness, a lack of humanity, when I was asking them about their experiences, ideally to gather evidence. And this was way before we had things like, family liaison officers and things like that within police services. So I started to read Carl Rogers. Whilst on shift at night, send out my patrols, I started to read about person-centered counselling. And it started to help me develop better relationships with those people who were vulnerable, who were hurting, who didn't want to talk about that again, but realized they sort of had to help the system try and give them some sort of justice. And of course it didn't. A lot it didn't. Even today, those types of crimes are, one, rarely investigated, woefully done so when they are, often, and the criminal justice system fails a lot of people a lot of the time. So I had the opportunity of jumping ship. The Army opened up the potential to join something called the Army Welfare Service, and off I went for a 10-month intensive course in talking therapy and social work, spat out into the military community to support soldiers and their families in some meaningful way and try and calm things down, because often things were kicking off. And there it appeared again, this stupid face. I noticed that even I'd go to the bar for a drink, and people would come over and go, oh, you're the welfare bloke, aren't you? I just want to tell you about this. I'm just having a pint. Can you come to the office tomorrow and tell me there? No, well, I may as well tell you now. You look like you're going to listen. Stupid face. So I then got spat out of the armed forces after doing a stint at something called the Royal Centre for Defence Medicine. I worked on the trauma wards, burns and plastics wards, neurology wards during the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. That meant working with families for about sort of 2 to 3 years in recovery, which was fascinating. I loved it, but it took its toll. So I had to leave. I had to go find something else. What I learned to do on leaving was to wing it. Winging it's my favorite. I love being a wing it therapist because it means every person that I meet, I get to wing it with them because they get to dictate what we do. How dare I sit there and say, this is my version of therapy, it should fit you? No, I don't believe in that at all as a therapist. I let them tell me what they need in some way, and I try and evolve with them. So I started to use psychological theory, psychotherapeutic theory, to construct training. Never quite made it online, so I'll have to have a chat with you guys at some point. But had some really wonderful clients. Again, this stupid face. I seemed to be able to knock on a door, go into an organization and say, could I speak to someone from HR? What about training? Do you hire trainers? What sort of training do you need? Do you think you could use some sort of psychological training? And I always got a gig. Every one of them just said, yeah, do a bit of work for us. Think about that. Think about just knocking on a door, asking for someone's thoughts or opinions. Can you tell me how this works, please? People love talking about themselves, right? My wife says it's my favourite subject. She's very rude. And so what I started to do was use that more and more and more and more. But I am transient, and so I move on. I've only got 3 minutes, so I'll move on quickly. All right? I realized that the training world wasn't offering me something, and so I started to come back to psychotherapy. I missed the one-to-one. I missed the being in the room with a human being, connecting with them and enabling them in some way. That's my why. That's the why that was missing for me in all the other areas of my previous life that I seem to have found much greater connection with and comfort with. And on doing that, what happened? This stupid face started to work its kind of weirdness again. I put out a couple of profiles, like we do, counselling directory, right? Psychology today, here I am. Yeah, my little smiley face on there saying, phone me up if you want, email me if you want, we can do some therapy. And the BBC phoned me up. Said, do you want to be on a programme? I said, what? Why me? Because we want someone from Wales who's a man. Really, that's your criteria? Okay, that's my stupid face. I'm from Wales, and I am a man. I can identify as those things. And before you know it, there I was on the set of the Reunion Hotel, BBC's Reunion Hotel. If you've missed it, it's on the iPlayer. Check it out. Check out episode 4. I'm all over that. And basically, what was that? It was working with people who were coming together after large degrees of separation. So they could have been adopted, or I worked with people from the Manchester Arena bomb who were connecting with teachers that supported them through that time. I'd worked with people who had been influenced by the Holocaust. All these wonderful stories that we got to show to the general public on there. I've got to wrap it up. And I'm here today on the panel to talk to you about using psychotherapy in the media, okay, which we can do. What's my hope for you today? It does tie in with the why, I think. And it's simply this. Consider your stupid face. All right? Your uniqueness. It's a metaphor, right? Because you're more than a stupid face. You're someone very unique, someone very individual. And this whole psychotherapeutic pie needs lots and lots of unique slices. I invite you to find out what flavor you are. Think about what resonates with you today and ask why. Thank you.